Hello and welcome to this presentation entitled Embedding Communication, Teamwork and Reflection Skills in Introductory Physics Courses. My name is Peter Sneddon, and this presentation sums up the work of myself, Emma Caldwell and Sarah Croke, all from the School of Physics and Astronomy. In this presentation, there are three main parts. What we did to embed skills in our physics course, how it was evaluated, and then some conclusions that we've drawn from that work. What we decided to do here was create a project known as the Physics Communication Project as part of Physics 1, which is the course that all students intending on taking a physics degree have to take as part of their degree at the University of Glasgow. There are also a number of students taking it as part of a maths degree or a chemistry degree and other science subjects. The goal was to give students a chance to work in teams to create and then present an outreach poster, something designed to excite the next group of potential physics students about different aspects of physics. The students were arranged into groups of 5 or 6. We let them pick their own groups, and we structured this project over 4 weeks. We ran an introductory week at the start of semester 1, where we also explained the whole concept and gave them some training. Then there were 2 weeks where the students had time to develop their poster in their own time. And then in week 4, we brought everyone together for the presentation of the posters themselves. This was done in person, though with electronically projected versions of the posters. And then to conclude the exercise, they were asked to complete a self-reflection exercise. So what does the Physics Communication Project consist of? The training broke down into 4 aspects. We explained what outreach was, why we did it, what makes for good outreach. We looked at why people worked in teams, what makes for good team members, their own roles. We looked at what makes for a good poster and how you could physically design one. We also looked at the importance of reflecting on your own actions. Now, this was done in workshop situation with the students working in their groups. There was a bit of presentation and a lot of group work chances where they got to chat, meet their teammates, and explore these areas. The work was assessed, formed part of the grade they got for Physics 1, and that assessment was based on the quality of the poster, in terms of its design, in terms of the physics content, and also how well they presented that work. We also assessed the self-reflection, but it was quite light touch. What we basically did was we told the students they had to fill in a self-reflection form. Submitting that form released the marks for the other criteria. We didn't actually mark the self-reflection because we felt that was potentially very subjective, but we wanted the students to go through the process. The idea being to introduce them to this process of self-reflection at an early stage. The communication project itself is designed to teach broad skills, many of which come from the University of Glasgow's graduate attributes. So that's what you can see there is the framework. The boxed out what sections are the ones we identified, a little small, so pick them out on the right. Don't expect you to read them, but it's key things like articulating complex ideas, engaging with the scholar community, giving and receiving feedback, researching a topic, working in groups, things like that, directly related to the skills that we think as a university all students should have. What you can see here is what happened this year. There were 58 projects. We let the students make their own choices, and so 24 of those 58 were the Doppler effect. It seems to be a very popular topic. You can see a couple of examples of posters there. But they were given a range of topics from physics, and that was how they decided to tackle the exercise. Once the presentations were complete, we wanted to evaluate this experience. There are goals we have for the Physics Communication Project, which is letting the students work in teams, developing and hopefully improving communication skills, group work skills, and things like that. But we wanted to make sure that whilst we felt it was working well, we've run this for several years now, we wanted to get the students' perspective. So we formally evaluated the project with help from some funding from the university. And this took the form of a survey issued at the end. And you can see on the screen there some examples of the questions we asked. Students were asked to reflect on certain aspects before and after. So what you can see there's a range of confidence questions before they took part in the event. We also gave them a chance to do some free-form questions. 193 students took part in the survey, which was good. We have a class size of about 260, so it was a good fraction of that. We were also pleased to see a good split in gender, which would allow us to look at differences between the two groups. And in this presentation, we're just going to look at the results from the confidence and skills questions. There isn't time to go through the entire evaluation. So starting with confidence, this has gone a little bit blurry, but you should still be able to read the questions here. There were 8 questions asked about their confidence in various issues, such as working in a team, setting goals, making contributions. And they were asked to indicate on a Likert scale from strongly disagree to strongly agree how much they, well, agreed or otherwise to those statements before and after. Now, as with all these types of studies, it's students self-reporting, but we wanted to find out how they felt. And what we found was that in 7 out of the 8 questions, there was a statistically significant improvement in their confidence. So as an example, you can see the distribution there for I feel confident working in a team. There's a definite shift towards the strongly agree end. I mean, it was nice to see that even before they took part, they were comfortable or confident, but that became even stronger as we went forward. The only question where we didn't see this was in question 8. I feel confident in assessing the quality of my own work. No, we're not really sure why that one didn't show any difference. It's possible that it was not an issue that was perhaps very dominant for the students in carrying out the work. Now, we also examined the data from a gender point of view to see if there were any differences between the responses of the male and female students. And we did find there were 2 particular questions where we found a difference. As I said earlier, for 7 out of the 8 questions, there was a significant change before to after overall. What we also found in these 2 questions was that there was a significant difference between the confidence of male and female students before. In both cases, it was a situation where the female students were less confident than the male students. However, when we then looked at the difference between male and female afterwards, there was no longer a significant difference between the 2 groups, which we thought was an excellent result. It suggests that we're effectively leveling the playing field here. Everyone felt their confidence improved. The female students saw a larger improvement than the male students, which we thought was excellent. Now, when it came to the skills, rather than a tick box exercise, we gave students a free-form question, and we went through the results from that, looking at what skills they felt they used most often and which ones they felt were most improved. So the output of that was coded, and as you can see in these word clouds, there were some definite dominant themes in terms of the most skills used. None of this being particularly surprising. Communication skills, teamwork, organization, research, all of these things which you'd expect were there. And then in terms of the ones that they felt were most improved, we see an overlap there. Again, their teamwork skills or group work skills, their ability to communicate, their confidence comes through again. So there was a lot of commonality between those 2 things, but also it was good to see that since the goal was to tackle communication and teamwork skills, those are definitely coming out very strongly. Now, based on the evaluation and the feedback we received from the students, there were some areas of definite improvement for this. One of the things we don't do was give the students in-class time to develop their poster. We set them up in class. We gave them an initial training session to get to know their teammates, but after that, we were basically left it to them to find their own time to do this. Now, the students succeeded in doing this. They all produced posters. But there was definitely a request that they would appreciate some scheduled timetable time for that. So this is something that we're going to do when we run this again next year, is we will schedule actual timetable time. The students themselves suggested that perhaps they should restrict the topic selections, because I think the students became very aware of the fact that many of them were doing the same work as other groups, and it put pressure on them. If they were the fourth Doppler effect in a presentation afternoon, it was quite difficult for them. So that's something we can look at. There was a request to reduce the group sizes. Typical sizes were 5 or 6. That's for pragmatic reasons. We run this in the lab sessions that we have, and we have 60 students, and there is only time to do 10 presentations. So that's why we've capped it at the size we have. There was also a request for more exemplars. We have 1 or 2, but we've been doing this long enough that we could provide them more options. We also realized when we were reflecting ourselves on the evaluation that the best way to try and evaluate this would be to actually offer separate surveys. So we're going to try and evaluate this again next year and see if we can duplicate the same results, but with the students being asked at distinct separate times for their before and after opinions. So, to conclude, the physics communication project, it was designed to boost and expand students' communication and teamwork skills and their confidence in those areas. Based on what the students tell us, this has been successful. We've also seen that it helps to reduce the gender gap in confidence, which is a significant result for us in physics. It also gave the students a chance to experience working in teams, but beyond that, reflecting on their own work. We've not discussed the reflection here in any detail, because in many ways the detailed reflection was not what we were looking for, but we were introducing the concept of self-reflection right at the start of the degree, in the hopes that students will realize very early on that this is a useful skill to explore when they go up through later years. Hopefully you found this useful. We've certainly found it a very rewarding experience from us to organize this, and to the students are reporting a very positive experience. It's also a format that would lend itself to any discipline. This might be a physics communication project, but there's no reason you couldn't have a life sciences communication project, a chemistry life science project, a mathematics, anything at all. If you've got any questions, I'm happy to take them now, or you can contact us later on, either at my email or at Sarah's. Thank you very much for listening.